All right, so Force Field, the 2017 album by...
The Atomic Bitchwax.
Yes, they are a heavy metal, stoner rock, sort of hard rock, southern rocky sort of band.
I mean, I'm like, I wouldn't really call that heavy metal, but...
Well, I mean, some of their older stuff is more stoner metal-y. They're signed to TP Records, or at least that's who they're releasing through, and they do people like Sleep, classic stoner metal sort of stuff, and High on Fire is also them. And they just released this new album today, which is December 8th. So yeah, let's just get right ahead and start with the first song, Hippie Speedball.
Hippie Speedball. Did it make you want to do a speedball?
No. So this album definitely starts as it means to go on. This album definitely is 100%. It's fast, rockin', pentatonic, fuzzy rock business with distortion on the vocal. Like, that's how this whole album is, and this first song just starts right fast with
the thesis statement is right there.
Yeah, so that's what's interesting. So this, like several of the songs, some of them don't have this, but this is one of the first ones that has, like, the sort of drum intro. And this and a later song have very similar drum intro. A lot of the drum patterns in this album are relatively similar because it's like got that sort of classic-y, hard rocky, 60s, 70s rock feel.
It's that mixed with, like, alt rock, like happy alt rock.
Yeah, and like I said, it has elements of that stoner metal, heavy metal sort of thing going on. Apparently their first several albums were more stoner metal. So this song, it's very fuzzy, but the vocals of this song, and a lot of the songs on here is my one big problem with this.
Is that they're too fuzzy, or that they sound like Dave Grohl?
Well, that wasn't the problem. First of all, neither of those two things are problems to me, at least.
That's true.
No, I would say that the vocals are very backwardly mixed in half of these songs.
Oh, in, like, all of them. Yeah, the problem is, like, I like the tone and, like, sound of the singing, because it sounds kind of like Dave Grohl. But there's just too much fuzz. And I feel like it's appropriate for the style, and it's okay sometimes to use that. But there's just too much vocal fuzz. Yes,
I will say, like I said, especially towards the end, like I said, but this song in particular it's just fuzzy enough to get that rock feel. He does, like, some really nice sort of rock screams, and it all works out. It feels it feels very old school. Anyone who is familiar with, just for a classic example, Highway Star by Deep Purple will love this sort of sound. This song, especially, because he gets... Finally, let's talk about the solo. It's this very chocolatey sort of, like, beedle, sort of classic pentatonic shred.
Love it.
And, you know, I'll say this now, and then I'll say this for every song from now on. This guitarist, whose name is Finn Ryan, loves bends more than he loves life.
Dude, all these guitar solos are awesome, though.
Yes.
Like, I love them.
Yeah, absolutely. This, like, I can say in advance that this is a great album.
Yeah.
But that being said, let's move on to the second song, Earthshaker.
Earthshaker, which do be you be?
I do... What? Anyway, yeah, so, like, this song called Earthshaker, within parentheses it says, which do be you be.
It's not in parentheses, in quotes.
Sorry, yeah. Well, so this song has no intro. This one just gets right to business.
Just, it almost starts, like, it almost feels like it's that in middle of a riff thing.
In medias res sort of thing.
Yeah. And, which is kind of neat, because it's just like, oh, we're rocking right out the gate.
Well, that's the thing is, this album starts, and it doesn't stop until it's over.
It doesn't stop until it stops.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, literally, there's so much high energy on this whole album. All the riffs are so impressive.
I love it.
I've heard a lot of people say that the Atomic is a very riff-heavy band. Like, in fact, like two albums ago, they wrote a 42-minute long, 50-riff song. Like, that was the whole album. And I'm like, yes, that sounds right up my street. And so this song is no different. It has the versy sort of riff. It's just like this, these riffs followed by some sweet, like, bends or high notes or pinches or whatever they are.
And this song has one of the better choruses, I think.
Yes,
of the song. Shaker, yes I am.
Yes. This is
fun chorus.
Much more sort of sung than a lot of the choruses on here. But back to the guitar, because that's what I definitely, I would say there's a tasteful tension pause in this song overall, where it goes from the verse, and then it goes silence. It has that awesome sort of, like, And yes, lock in.
Yeah, where you're like, oh, I thought the chorus was gonna start. Okay, there it is.
And then it locks it in, and you're just like, oh, this kicks it up just right. Yeah. All of this music, I would say, is driving down the highway super fast, partying with your friends' music.
Yeah, this is
go hard with your girl in your Corvette music, or whatever. I really, really thoroughly enjoy it. My one problem with So there's this sweet bluesy pentatonic-y lead after each chorus. In fact, I would almost say it's the second half of the chorus. It's the guitar getting a chance to sing. My problem is it's really backmixed. Like, it's really quiet. You can almost, like... I'm not saying you almost can't hear it, because it's still obviously there otherwise. But it's really, really quiet for this really awesome musical, melodic, pentatonic-y, ballady sort of sound. And, and I was just upset with how quietly it was mixed.
Yeah, I think that when they got around to the solo, though, like, that was properly forward.
This solo
is amazing. I love this solo so much. It's everything I want.
Yes, I said it's got that...
In a rock solo.
Oh, yeah, it's that classic rock sound. I said that they really get this sort of... like I said, Deep Purple. And it's funny, because Deep Purple released a re-release album today. I think it was Infinite or whatever, re-released today. And I'm like, these guys remind me so much of that sort of Richie Blackmore.
It's like if you combine Deep Purple and the Foo Fighters.
Which is awesome.
What you get.
That's a super group I'd listen to.
For real, though.
But that being said, like I said, what I loved about this solo is that it has this sweet pentatonic classic rock, shreddy thing. But then it goes into this sort of like melodic, where one guitar's doing a melodic thing while the other one's doing that shreddy thing. And they get this sort of dueling guitars, I'd almost call it, where they're working with the layers. I heard it. I don't know if you agree, but I really liked it because there's definitely multiple like guitar sounds going on. Even though this is a power trio, there's definitely lots of multi-tracking here, and it's just really good. There's just so much complexity-wise going on in this solo, and I loved it. Yeah,
no, this solo, I think this probably is my favorite solo of the album. This or the next song.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, and I loved it so much. Let's just go right ahead and talk about the next song.
Yeah,
Alaskan Thunder. Fuck.
Alaskan Thunderfuck.
Besides having like the greatest name of any song ever,
it's just the greatest song ever.
Yes, so this song,
that's extreme. But this is a great song.
No, okay, so this song is the longest on the album at 3 minutes and 48 seconds.
It does not feel that long,
and it does not waste a second. It starts off with this awesome riff, which becomes the verse riff. It's this awesome descending like. That's not what it is, obviously. That's other song. But this song, it just starts off with this descending, sweet, awesome lick.
Yeah, it's my favorite riff of the album.
Undoubtedly.
Which, there are a lot of good riffs on this album,
this album is made of sick riffs. Like, there are whole bands whose, like, multiple discographies don't have as many good riffs as this album does.
Yeah. For real, though. Like, this riff is great, and, basically my only complaint with this whole song is that, like... Especially in the moments where it's just the vocals, because it'll be like like just vocals for a second, and I feel like they should be more forward and fill up more space when it's just vocals.
That being said, I think the vocals on this track are more mixed forward than they are on the other tracks, and the fact that you want them more mixed forward, I 100% agree with you. I will say the vocals, because they're more mixed forward, and I feel like in this song there's a lot less effects on them. There's like a much smaller reverb. It's got that sort of Sky is a Neighborhood kind of sound.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say about this and other songs, is that it was recorded in the same bathroom that Sky is a Neighborhood was recorded in.
I don't know if it's a thing now or if it's always been a popular thing and I just haven't noticed, but it has a very small reverby delay on it that just makes it sound like you're recording it in a very, 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 very small bathroom. And it sounds good in this song. I said it's a little weird. But that's just because I think it sounds a little weird.
Yeah, I personally am not a huge fan of that sound. I didn't like it on Sky is a Neighborhood. I don't especially... Like, I tolerate it more here because it falls more into the general fuzz of the music.
Speaking of fuzz, though, the chorus vocal was extremely fuzzy in this case. Much more so than the verse. And at points, it was kind of hard to understand. Not as much as, like, later songs that have a fuzz so intense that all I hear is, like... Yeah,
we'll get to that, though.
Yeah.
But let's focus on this song, which is an amazing song.
Yes, this song is great. Like I said, it's 3 minutes and 48 seconds long. And it's because it has about a minute-long solo in it.
Yeah.
And this solo is... just dynamite. This solo is
and it hits like all the notes that you want. Aside from like, there's a slower section, and then there's the faster sections, And
well, no, like I said, this solo, I said that...
And it's got kind of like... Sorry, I interrupted you. But it's got kind of like a little dual guitar section.
Well, so I was going to say, this solo has that sweet, martially, classic rocky sound. It sounds like Angus Young is doing a solo with Ritchie Blackmore, is doing a solo with, like, you know, everybody from back then. That 60s, 70s rock era. It's just so good. And then the bridge... Like, then, like, there's the first part of the solo. Then there's... I don't know, a bridge riff or whatever, and then there's the second part of the solo, and that bridge riff is super. It adds like some chuggy groove for a second.
Yeah, it's that part is really nice because it gives you a little bit of a break from the like just like the drums in this song are all
yeah, they're the Slayer beat,
the rock version of the Slayer beat, and like that's kind of like it's very driving and persistent, and so it's nice to get a little bit of a break from that and in this like short slower section, and then it goes right back into like nope, we're that was a stoplight but we're speeding right ahead.
I would say this is the only section of the album that comes to anything close to chuggy groovy sounds. Not groove, because there's lots of rhythm and lots of like offbeat stuff on this album, but like this is a very sort of like very sort of chordal thing that I think is wonderful juxtaposition just from the first solo. Breathe, second solo. It's just so nice. It flows so smoothly.
Yeah, I love that section. Yeah. And it also has this cool section where it's got like a bit of a drum solo thing.
The drummer shows off a lot.
Yeah, and it does this sweet thing where it pans from one side to the other side completely, and it's got a flanger on the drums. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good. And the thing is, this song just makes you feel pumped up 8 ways. It's definitely not a shocker that the rest of the album is fantastic.
Shocker. Did it shock you?
Yeah, no, because it was good and I knew it was going to be good kind of before I went into it. So Shocker is the shortest song on the album. And once
it's to the point.
The thing is, this song it puts it all out there.
Like, especially my favorite lyric, you fucking suck and I hope you fucking die.
Yeah, and now I hope you die. Yes, Chris Kosnick, who's doing the bass and the vocals, Bob Panatella, and Finn Ryan, they work together to get this. This music is sass. Pure, boiled down, sassy rock that just... If you broke up with your ex and are about to go smash their car or something, you'd listen to this. Like, that's absolutely what Chakra is. Chakra is like, get back at your ex music. And I absolutely think it's awesome. This riff, that being said, is much less pentatonic-y sounding to me. It's much more just traditionally minor rock sort of deal.
Yeah, no, it's another great riff. Like, I love the riff of this song.
I don't even think you need to say that anymore. This is a great riff. It will describe every single song on this album. It's just awesome. That's true.
No, and I love, like, you get the chance to hear his, like, rock scream a little more on this song. Like, when he says, I hope you fucking die, or whatever it is, he gets on the word die, he's like, yow! It's great. And it sounds like Dave Grohl.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, I was thinking a lot during this about, like, bands like, Deep Purple and all that, but I was also thinking about more modern stuff, like, I can't think of their name for some reason, they do Highway Tune.
Oh, Greta Van Fleet?
Yeah, I was thinking about Greta Van Fleet, and, like, this band, the one thing is missing is starting some songs with, oh, yeah! And this song definitely, that gives it to me, finally. That song gives me the, like, rock screams, like, yeah, pump it up, classic sort of old school rock. And it's awesome. The bass in this does this sort of like that chromatic rock descend. And it's just this song, for being 2 minutes long, it's just a wonderful little rock treat that you could enjoy anytime. And it just feels great. And it definitely doesn't drive me crazy.
Crazy. You crazy for this song?
Not as much, actually. So don't get me wrong. Would listen.
Yeah.
Crazy is an excellent song. It starts off with this sort of like very sort of tension building.
Yeah, it sounds like the beginning of like an 80s metal, like.
Yeah, it's definitely these huge chords that are just building it all up, and you're like, oh my, here comes the rock.
And then it kind of doesn't follow through as much. Like, it's still really great, but...
Oh, that's this fun riff.
Yeah. I wrote that it's the least rockin' yet, but that doesn't mean it's not rockin'. It's just less so than the previous... Like, the previous 2 songs were so, like... great and all for it, that this one, like, steps back a tiny bit.
I will say, after the sort of intro, sort of it does go into a sort of, like, straightforward rock chords kind of thing going on under the verse vocals.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like the vocals felt kind of, like, demo-y to me. Like, just the way they were mixed or whatever made the song kind of feel like it was a B-side or, like, something.
Well, what's interesting about these vocals, I said that these are one of the most forwardly mixed and the most melodically sung vocals. He's not like, rock it out, I'm angry, I'm having a good time. He's like, don't let the crazy fill you up. Yeah, it's much more melodic. It's much more, non-pentatonic. It's much more sung than a lot of sort of angry barking or sort of like rock scream stuff. And for that reason, I felt like it was interesting that they didn't have a juxtaposition, because the chorus of this song, or if that's the chorus, then this is the verse, is a riff. And not that there's anything wrong with that. These people write amazing riffs that could easily fill in the space of a vocal. And they do that multiple times on this album. And so I think that with that singy vocal, they should have maybe. And the chorus has sort of angrier sort of thing to juxtaposition it up. But I think the song is just different. I think it's trying to be different. Maybe this is trying to be more the ballad of the album, as it were.
Sure. Then this song, again, has another sweet guitar solo.
So this solo has a different tone.
Yeah.
It's way more dirty and feedbacky, and it's like... It's got this sort of like just stank on it. It's awesome. And it's like 90% bends.
Yes.
That being said,
that is not a problem.
This album is 90% bends now.
And it's a beautiful thing.
So I want to talk about that real quick. This album has a whole lot of the sound of bent chords, It has that repeated thing of two sets of bent chords filling up a space under a vocal or something. It does that a lot. And that's a great sound. It's a great classic rocky sort of sound. But they do it too much, almost, I think. That being said, this song is great. It's just, I feel like this is the most different, other than maybe the last song.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it is, and it's definitely a slight divergence from the previous couple songs.
Speaking of divergence from the previous song, it's time for an instrumental in the form of Fried, Died, and Laying to the Side.
Fried, Died, and Laying to the Side. How'd you think about it?
So, I will say, I don't know much about this band. I hadn't heard any of their older stuff. Yes, crucify us in the comments. But I did not expect an instrumental.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting an instrumental either. I was like, I looked at it and it's like a 3-minute song, and about a minute in, I'm like, when are the vocals gonna start? Wait, could this be an instrumental? Speaking of the first minute of the song, there's some sweet bass wah going on.
Like I said, I wasn't sure if it was bass wah or just like a low guitar wah going on.
But there's some low wahing happening.
Yes,
whether it's in the guitar or the bass, and it's wonderful. Interesting.
It's wonderfully psychedelic because it's like it adds this wonderful sort of bouncy, underwatery sort of flavor to the song.
Yeah.
And none of the other
it's an effect that wouldn't sound good on all songs.
No, but
it's just kind of it's nice to have for just a moment. Though.
It's hard rock, stoner metal, heavy metal, classic 60s, 70s. It fits. It just makes perfect sense. These guys know how to write a good song. So the song starts off with this almost completely dry sort of like sweet rock drum intro. It's just very straightforwardly mixed. Not a lot of reverb or layer echo on it. It's really nice. And it does have a traditional verse-chorus structure, even though it's an instrumental.
Yeah, to me it felt like a minute and a half of intro and then a bridge.
I guess you could look at it that way. To me felt a little bit like an intro of a song and a bridge of a song kind of glued together. What I was going to say, when I heard this, and then I heard it in respect to the whole album, I couldn't help but thinking of Bareback off of The Darkness's Permission to Land. It was a B-side, I think, right? The instrumental. So. And I think sort of the same way. It's this sort of song where they really wanted to write words for it. Mm-hmm. They set it up like a normal song. But then they were like, it's so interesting. It's so fast. It's got so many notes that are distinct and melodic and musical by themselves that maybe a vocal over it might limit it somewhat. And I feel that's what happened with this song. Because there's in the chorus there's a sweet series of like progressively climbing chord bends, and the verse these really fast ascending and descending sort of pentatonic-y shreddy things, and it's just really, really great. Excuse me, and you can really tell. I'm guessing if they do play this live, they're focusing so hard on playing that I can't even imagine singing. Maybe
and speaking of like focusing hard on playing, there's a bass solo in this song.
Yeah, the bass is very, very at least forwardly mixed.
Yeah, no, and you can hear the bass really nicely throughout this whole song, and throughout this whole album, you can hear the bass very clearly.
Well, it helps that they're a power trio.
Yeah, but no, this song has a bass solo, and like my only complaint with it is that I feel like during its solo it could have been boosted a little more, and especially in this, there's this short section where there's bass and guitar harmony, and I love that. That's a personal thing that I just super love whenever it happens when the bass and guitar are in harmony with each other, and but no, I really love that section of the song. Yeah, no,
every part of this works really well by itself without the need for a vocal, that being said earlier. And it's just, I feel like the song is significantly faster and more complex than anything else on the album, and that's maybe why it doesn't fit with the vocal. I don't know if you feel that way as well.
Sure, yeah.
But that being said, I can't literally say anything else because it is an instrumental that's not overly, it's not like a prog instrumental, it's not like a 8-hour long orchestral thing, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. It's just a good 3-minute song. Mm-hmm. So, next is Shell of a Man.
Shell of a Man. What'd you think?
So, this song has a different feel. I know we've said that about the last several songs, but this song is much more it's got a much more alt-y sort of tone.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say.
I know exactly.
It sounds the most like the Foo Fighters any song on this album, and I may have said before, his voice sounds a little growly.
Yes, this one is definitely the most. I would say this is almost the most poppy song on this whole album. I
guess. So that didn't really occur to me, but like...
Well, because the chorus is very sort of da-da-da-da. It's got this very sort of standard melodic structure. It felt kind of darker to me than the other songs. Oh, I don't know. Maybe, like, like, especially the verse is a little shouty and more minor. Anyway, so the song starts off with this very sort of, like, these sort of, I would call them, like, southern rock, kind of palm muted-y chords, that just, they have a bit of a heaviness to them, which I think maybe that some of the earlier album was missing. But, that being said, when it gets into the Foo Fightarian vocals, it goes back into that sort of overdriven sort of sound that we're used to having. It's just a very different sort of tone in the intro, I feel like. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so in this song, the solo feels shorter, maybe more melodic. It's kind of quiet. I thought it was a little subdued. It's not sassy. Remember, I tried this album, it's very sassy, and it's not. Yeah, I still liked the solo, though. It just was a little more, like, straightforward. But if you, like, you mentioned the sass, though, I feel like the lyrics are still kind of sassy. At least the lyrics that I heard, like, the first one, I got 13, 14, 15 atomic bitches. And it's like, hey, saying your band name. Yeah, what's the wax part? I don't know. That being said, so this song, like I said, it feels like it feels like a different producer got their hands on it, you know what I'm saying? It feels much more of that alt-rock space. It feels much more of that sort of minor space. It just feels like it's like keeping the album from being one note, you know? I guess I can agree with that, and it definitely needs it. This album does have a lot, like I said, if you like bends under your choruses, and you like solos that sound like, you know, Ritchie Blackmore, pentatonic shred, then this is all for you. So let's just move on to the next song, Houndstooth.
Houndstooth. What'd you like?
So Houndstooth and the last song have both had that feeling that Dave Grohl guest sung on them, I think we can say. Real though. The chorus of this song especially has that da-da-da-da-da thing that Dave Grohl just loves to death. Yeah, it's like that interval that appears a lot in Foo Fighters songs, I feel like. Yes, so that being said, there's less to say about Houndstooth, I think, almost because Shell of a Man also exists. They're very similar, I feel, in a lot of ways. Yeah, they're definitely next to each other on the album for a reason. Because they have that more alt-rocky tone. They have that much more minor feel. They have that colder sort of sensation.
Yeah, one thing this song does that I like a lot is it does that, you mentioned on a previous song, where it kind of has a full stop and then a pause.
A tasteful tension pause, yes.
And I really like that, because, like, so some songs do it, you know, some songs do it incorrectly, where it's like, it feels jilty, and like
it's a jank sound.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, what, the song's changing now. Whereas this one is like you know what's coming next.
That's the thing like, is, this band has excellent timing. Mm-hmm. They have such excellent understanding of rhythm and
they know when, like, most of the time they get pretty spot on changing before you get bored of a riff. And the only exception to that is in this song, actually. The
wait, once again, the repeated bends?
Yeah, that like
chord bends,
lead section is a little bit like, gets a little boring the third or fourth time you hear it.
Well, and the problem is, this is probably about the 20th or 30th time we've heard that style of repeated chord bend on the album. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to be so prominent as like a lead, you're like, okay, I know you guys have more interesting leads in you. Mm-hmm. So when you hear it here, I'm kind of like, oh, come on.
Like, it's somewhere between being boring and having tension. Like, sometimes I'm like, ugh, this again, but sometimes I'm like, ooh, there's tension there. Like, because one time they do, like, a different note than you would expect as the last one, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. But
I think, though, as a person who, you know, looking at their older albums, if you're looking at more stoner metal or more hard rocky sounds, I don't think Houndstooth or Shell of Man are going to be your favorites. I don't think these two are people's favorites on the album, by far and away, I wouldn't say. That being said, some of the best things in life is the title of the next song, which is Tits and Bones.
Tits and Bones. What do you do with it?
What do I do with the song, or what do I do with those things normally?
Both.
So this song has a really cool intro, and is also the outro, where it has this sort of like wah or whammy bar or you know, descend bend thing, where it's like wow, 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 and it's this.
It gets a little annoying after a while, but
it's a novel idea. It's a novel sound.
It is like, it did sound pretty cool.
And I just really liked its, once again, anything this album does that's different than the traditional sort of like 60s, 70s pentatonic shreddy rock. Mm-hmm. I'm like, let's follow that, because I know clearly this band has the skill to make any sort of riff they make sound interesting. And so every time they do something new, I'm like, okay, let's work with this. So that being said, this is another song where there's verse lyrics and the chorus is a riff. Mm-hmm. And so the vocal in this song is interesting, because it's the exact same thing that I mentioned last time about how the verse is this very much more melodic, much more sung, much more.
Yeah, and I didn't really like the melody so much on this.
My attitude.
I don't know. I like. It didn't really jive with me as much, the melody of the verse, but I still like this song though, definitely. I just felt like the vocals were a little too reverby.
There's definitely a lot of, like, it's either layering or it's just said reverb or weird EQing. But this vocal, when he says that he's been working on his attitude, I'm like, no, let the attitude thrive like your other songs. This is a song called Tits and Bones. Show me some of that, like, stank vocal. Give me some, like, anger. Give me some, like, sexual tension. Give me just some ugh. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Anyone who's seen the Runaways movie, basically everything that their director guy was telling them to do. Sex sells your music. And so when it's called Tits and Bones, I expected much more of a sort of like, a lot more sassy sass in the... And there is sass in this vocal, but it's just... I don't know. It didn't feed my inner rock person as much as the other songs did.
This song did have a lot more vocal variety than I feel like some of the other songs did, though. It did go from singing to a little, like... It got some of the more rock sound later. And it actually had backup vocals.
Yeah,
which, like,
true.
Some of the songs have it, but I feel like a lot of, like...
Two of the members are vocalists.
We went through a long string of songs that didn't have notable background vocals, and I liked it, because this one had some sort of business in the background.
It filled up that sonic space. Now, I will say the solo in this song is relatively short and kind of understated. I mean, granted, it still has pentatonic shred. It still has repeated bends. I said that it has, at one point, it just goes brr, 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 on the same bend, like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, you know how much I love that.
Motorhead style. Yeah, Dave Mustaine, too. But
yeah, I kind of jokingly said, like, on some song on this, I'm like, oh, Dave Mustaine showed up. Granted, he was drunk and, but whatever.
No, well, I mean, that's rude to say about this guitarist. Yes, comparatively slowly.
I'm saying compared to Dave Mustaine.
Okay. No, but like I said, this guitarist is amazing, and the riffs on this album are so interesting that to say that this band is amazing and definitely going places is a bit of, it could be a humble brag.
Humble brag. Do you like it?
So humble brag. This song is also kind of different in a lot of ways. So this song,
it's got a sick intro solo. Slash lead thing.
Yes. It has a lot of really cool parts, but they don't necessarily all work together. But we'll get into it in a second. So this is one of the first songs that really has vocal over drums with like no guitar in sections, and it definitely. For most singers, I'd be like, oh, this is the singer's chance to really show off their vocal prowess. But because this guy's like, just like doing that sort of, sort of like sassy talking. Speaking of Dave Mustaine. It definitely mixes up the tones of the song. It definitely mixes up his style of singing. And it feels a lot more like there's this sort of just back and forth rhythm between the guitars playing over the drums and his vocal playing over the drums. So it kind of has this internal full band call and response thing that I really like during the verse.
Okay.
You clearly don't agree, but...
No, I wasn't gathering that same thing, but I just thought this verse is really rocking.
Yeah.
That's all I wrote. I'm like, it rocks. It makes me want to bang my head a little bit.
Yeah, no, it definitely...
dance around, and it's just a happy
Come on.
Welcome to the beatdown.
Yeah. This is so much movement. This is either a racing scene or a fighting scene in a movie where someone like takes out every single other person in the bar. We're just like smashing bottles over their heads. This is like a crazy fight scene song.
Yeah, but then we get to this next section. This like pre-chorus section, I guess, or just this B section. This kind of weird rhythmically.
What do you mean?
It's escaping me right now, but this next section of the song.
Yes. The next section is in the pre-chorus, and what the chorus itself is very sort of janky and bouncy. It goes dun 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 dun. It's very back and forth, and the chorus is very much. It sounded more like all I could think of was the sort of alt-rocky sort of guys like the Arctic Monkeys and whatnot, who have this sort of like back and forth, really bouncy sort of tone. I'm trying to think of a song by like the Wombats that has like a sort of let's dance to Joy Division, dun 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 dun. It has this very sort of
back and forth
tone. It's definitely very different, I feel.
Yeah, and I feel like it doesn't necessarily go with the verse so much.
Definitely not.
But both sections are still likable, and I think it's nice to have that diversity in like rhythm and sound and feel, because a lot of their songs are just straightforward rock business, and with the snapping, but then this section is kind of like, oh, that's kind of a different sound than I've heard on this album before, and so I think that's good, even though it doesn't even though it feels a little weird in the moment.
This song definitely is designed to shake up your brain towards the end of the album. It's definitely like, oh, we've heard a lot of the same stuff. Now let's put something new in there. The solo though, it was different.
A little bit, yeah. I like how it ended on just a standard high note.
Oh, yeah, I 100% agree with you there. But this solo it's much more melodic and singing. I said this has got a much more sort of. It's not just it's got a much more sort of like it sings a song. It sings a rhythm. It sings a melody. It's got its own melody.
Yeah, it had more like sustains.
Yeah, and that for me was like this whole song is made of different parts that shake it up really differently. And going from that sort of like call and response, vocals over drums, to guitar over drums, vocals over drums, to going to that sort of back and forth, bouncy sort of riff, to this sort of melodic thing. It's definitely all three different parts coming from like different places. But they work together.
They are sewn together nicely. It's not like it doesn't have the problem of like hard gear shifting between the parts of the songs. They are sewn together nicely.
Yes, I 100% agree. It's like they're all flowing together down a super highway.
Super highway. Did it make you want to drive off a bridge?
No, the opposite. Superhighway is some of the most fun you'll have with this album.
Yeah, no, and it definitely talking about the highway definitely captures the feel of the song. This song is like, you take a bunch of speed and drive really fast, like in the middle of the night. Like, not that I would ever do that.
Yeah, I've never done that, but imagining so, yes. This song is so amped up. This song is so high octane, so full of like crazy pumped up energy.
and the like chorus lyrics, they don't make any sense.
Yeah, the beginning is the flangry drums again. Well, let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
It's the flangry drums, and it goes, and it's got the flangers on the drums, and it reminds me of which everyone knows is very Jimi Hendrix. But then we go into this. It's metal
Heavy.
for just a second.
Yeah, it's definitely like a heavier riff there.
So it's like fuzz and distortion so intense. It's just like it's really. I'm like, oh, this is the stoner metal, right? This is where they. No. I thought the whole song would be that way at first. But
it's nice because it gives that heaviness for a second, and then it jumps back up into the, no, we're going to be this fast, peppy rock.
Yeah, but that almost to me is one of those examples of something that's kind of not sewn together as well. It's kind of jarring because it goes like... It goes straight from the heavy fuzz overdrive to just a standard like classic rock drive.
Yeah, see, I liked that and thought it was like... Because my head was in one space, and that's like, nope, gonna be really upbeat and not heavy now.
Well, yeah, this song is very, very confusing, and you have to ask yourself a question. Which, we'll now talk about what the chorus vocals that you loved were.
Yeah, New Orleans...
Got your diamond ring.
Yeah, New Orleans, got your diamond ring. Ow!
Submarine. What the is going on? And I was like, I agree completely.
What the fuck is going on? But
that being said...
It's a what the fuck is going on? I love it.
Yeah, it's definitely... This is absolutely all over the place. Speaking of the vocals, the verse and the chorus, there's lots of layering. There's lots of both of their voices going over one another. Yeah, and there's the pre-chorus especially has really great harmony. You can really clearly hear the two parts happening at the same time, and it builds the tension up for the chorus, which is a great payoff of the tension. Yeah, absolutely. This song, like I said, with the combination of the heavy metal sort of fuzz overdrive going on, the standard sort of classic rock sort of, and then the with the vocals with the much more like layering and the sonic space filling, this song is huge and fat and pumped up and angry and sexy and sassy and just everything you could possibly want. And then the solo kicks in, and it's this fuzzy, that really high treble fuzz sort of space where it's just getting all the stank in there.
Yeah, and even while the solo is going on, you can really hear the bass nicely underneath.
Yeah.
Like, the solo is high enough that it leaves some space, and you're like, oh, there's some sick bass biz happening.
Yeah, like I said, the instrumental mix, well, I would see even the vocals on this one, the instrumental vocal and everything, the mixing on Superhighway is just fantastic. Every single person and their instrument gets to stand out, and it's just an awesome song. It makes you feel like you're going to live a little.
Live a little. Did it make you want to live?
Well, it didn't make me want to die, which is more important. So, live a little.
This song has a lot of issues for me.
So, yeah, speaking of Deep Purple, this is the only song, maybe, that has the Hammond organ in it. And
I don't get the point. It's like, why introduce that on the last song of the album?
And it was underutilized, too. You had the Hammond organ, but all it was doing was holding some chords every now and then. It would just be...
Yeah. I don't really get the song would have been just as good without that.
This also added very prominent clapping to the drums. And it reminded us, with the Hammond organ and the clapping together, it reminded us a lot of the intro of Gold on the Ceiling by the Black Keys, and you'll definitely hear that when you're listening to it. But then the song actually kicks in, and it's significantly slower than the other songs on this album.
Yeah, it is a little slower.
It's really interesting. I guess this is the song they want to you to go off and just relax to, especially after Superhighway.
Yeah, it's when you're coming down from all the speed.
Yeah, I guess. So it's got that old school 60s, 70s rock tone, and now it's going into that sort of, I wouldn't say relaxed space, but it's going into the chill space. Yeah. So the vocal here is
obnoxious.
It's hardcore stoner metal where there's so much fuzz on the vocal.
You cannot understand a single word he's saying. There's so much fuzz.
He says the word shoulder at one point. No, it's very difficult to understand him, but that's a thing in some of the stoner metal stuff.
I don't get it.
It is, like I said, it is the vocal is very distorted to the point where it kind of counters the chillness of the rest of the song with the harshness of the vocal. I would say that it's not quite a pleasant comparison. That being said, with the rest of the song being slow, there's this beautiful melodic sort of guitar riff constantly going on throughout the whole thing that's much more slow. It's not nearly as complex. It's much more relaxed.
Yeah, I thought this whole song felt a little simple to me. Just a little simple in general. And I feel like it... I don't know if this is just me, but it didn't really have a chorus.
No. Well, see, the thing is... this.
Like, I said, something is missing. Like a chorus.
In all of our lives, really. No. This whole song is this simple, relaxing, easy melody, I think, that... I'm not saying they didn't put effort into it at all. Yeah. I'm not saying that.
It's not slow. It's like a mid-tempo song.
Yes, but it's just so much slower than everything else in the album that it's clearly a... Whew, it's clearly the breath. And for that reason, I think it works. I just kind of wish the album ended with the energy that it began with.
Yeah, I wish that this song had been more in the middle of the album and that it had ended on Superhighway.
Yeah, because Live a Little feels like the ballad, I guess, is what I would say. It feels like it should be the ballad. And then Superhighway feels like the last song to just, so when you
drive off into the sunset.
Yeah, when you hear it, you're like, man, I want to play that whole album again because it's just so good. But Live a Little is a good song. It's just, it's too chill. It's too chill
for this album.
So that being said, let's talk about the album.
It's great.
So this album is fantastic. I
was not expecting this when we started. I was just like, oh, the Atomic Bitchwax. Never really heard of that band.
I mean, this is their 7th album.
Yeah, this is their 7th album, and I never heard of them before. But when we started listening to this, after the first song, I'm like, this is pretty good. And then by 4 or 5 songs in, I'm like, okay, I kind of love this.
Well, no, see, that's the thing is, I was so of a mindset, and it's kind of funny. Dorothy's last album was called Rock Is Dead. Mm-hmm. First album, I guess. And so many things we've been listening to. This, Highway Star. Wow. Yes, Deep Purple. They just came out. No. This and Greta Van Fleet and Dorothy, speaking of which, they're coming out with their second album. All this sort of southern rock, this sort of classic rock with
this seems to be a thing that's coming back.
And I mean, clearly they've been around for 7 albums.
Yeah, but you said they've kind of changed their style over
I love
the course of their history.
And you can tell even looking at Foo Fighters and Queens of the Stone Age, this sort of fuzzy, pentatonic-y bluesiness.
What I was speaking of the Foo Fighters, I was gonna say, this is a better Foo Fighters album than Concrete and Gold was, in my opinion.
That does not represent the views of our channel. If you're angry, you be angry at her.
And I love the Foo Fighters are either my favorite or second favorite band, so that's saying a lot.
I love Concrete and Gold, so
I liked Concrete and Gold too. I think I like this album more.
No, but there was just so much that was good on this album. There was so much skill on display.
Yeah, all the guitar solos I was not expecting guitar solos that good.
Yeah, like I said, all the guitar solos are amazing. All the riffs are amazing. I can imagine a concert with Dorothy and Greta Van Fleet and these guys, and if we're going for gentler, Alabama Shakes is there, and just all kind of. It would be that sweet southerny classic rocky jams that is just something I need in my life now, and I definitely love this.
But I love they have that 60s 70s vibe, but they also bring in a little bit of the 90s vibe too, with their kind of more alty sounding songs. Oh, yeah. And so that's what part of what made me love it so much is that it's not going for just a retro feel. It's not going for just the classic rock thing. They bring in some 90s alternative and then combine that to make it modern.
Well, yeah, speaking of excellent things, what are your top 3 songs? Starting from the third.
My third favorite is probably Earthshaker.
Okay.
No particular reason why. I liked pretty much all the songs. Right. But then my second favorite was Superhighway.
Mm-hmm. Unshocking.
Because it's just got so much energy. And number 1 is Alaskan Thunder.
Undoubtedly.
That song was awesome.
Yes, absolutely amazing. My top 3 was 3 was Chakra. Because it looks at 2 minutes long.
I considered saying that one for my third.
Yeah, it's just, go, die. Just it has that sort of angry rock feel, and I just love it for how simple it is. And then, of course, Superhighway, because it's just all over the place. It's heavy, it's fun, I don't know what's going on. It's just so good. Everything about it is so fun. And then, of course, Alaskan, because, like, it's the longest song on the album. It uses every minute to put in a sweet riff, sweet solos. Everybody is doing 100% skill. It's catchy. It's full of energy and life. And it's just absolutely amazing. Bottom 3.
Oh, this is hard. I don't really know. Can I do bottom 2?
Sure.
My second from the bottom is Houndstooth. It's not bad. I still really like this song.
My second from the bottom was Shell of a Man, coincidentally. Huh. I think we both went with the more alty ones, because they're just a little bit too low energy comparatively for the album.
Yeah, but I honestly, I really liked both of those songs.
Are they bad songs?
Too.
Not at all.
Yeah, like, I will gladly listen to both again, over and over again, actually. And then my least favorite was Live a Little. Yep. Because it didn't really feel like it fit very well. And after the high energy of Superhighway, I was just like, oh.
It was more of a letdown than a cool down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that being said, this album is amazing. I love the sound of it. It's released by TP Records, if you're looking for more stuff by them. It's called Force Field, which was also the 6th track of, like, their 2 albums ago album. Huh. Just a weird, interesting sort of coincidence or something.
Yeah, so I guess to conclude, what would your rating of this be?
My rating of this is an 8 or 9.
I was just gonna say the same, like 8 or 9. This album is great.
Yeah, would you recommend this to your friends?
Yes, all of them.
I recommend this to everybody. Literally, just I'm almost kind of I know
random people on the street listen to this album.
It doesn't matter to me that there is a swear word in the title, but my problem is I suspect that will limit them somewhat, because a lot of parents aren't going to want their kids to listen to something with swear words in the title, even though it's full of F words throughout.
Kids, go out there and buy this album anyway.
Yeah, because
say, fuck the man, gonna listen to this Atomic Bitchwax album.
And furthermore, would you go back and listen to the rest of their stuff? Absolutely.
Yeah. Now that I've listened to this, I'm sitting here going like, man, I need to go get their whole discography right now and listen to it.
7 albums, and that's so great. 7 albums that we're going to go back and listen to now.
Awesome, I'm excited.
Yeah, so that being said, this album is great. Go listen to it. Everybody's a critic, including us. Bye-bye.